All right, good morning. This is Pam Bussey, and I am speaking with Heather Gorlitz Scott, and she is another artist who's going to be part of the upcoming exhibit called Fabrications-An exhibit about truth and lies. So thank you and welcome, Heather.
Hi.
So as usual, I can't just start doing a podcast. I mean, we've been talking probably ever since I got here, which was like 11, so it's been like almost 40 minutes. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute, we can't talk about everything before the podcast because then we'll have nothing to talk about during the podcast. But could you just tell everybody who's listening, I know that you were born in Australia, were you not?
No.
Okay. So talk to me about that, because I thought I read that somewhere.
Yeah, you probably on my author bio, I say I'm from Australia Light, which is kind of an internet joke reference to Florida, because we've got animals that'll kill us here too.
Absolutely. And I mean, because if no one has ever been to Australia or down under, dang near everything is poisonous, because 5 years ago I went to Bali to celebrate turning 60. Yay!
Woo!
And so a group of my friends went with me, and because we were near Darwin City in Australia, they decided when they left Bali they were going to go to Darwin City. But I think everything on the beach was like poisonous, so they couldn't do the beach. And so I was like, if I'm going to go to Australia, I would like to go to a big city like Melbourne or Sydney or whatever it is. But that's so cool. I like that. That was an insider's joke. Okay. How cool is that? So were you born in Florida then?
Yep, here in Orlando, actually.
Oh, wow.
So.
A native. And so many of us, because I'm a transplant, I grew up in, a lot of places, but my formative years, teenage years, I grew up in Philadelphia. So I call myself a citizen of the world, because I've been very fortunate to live in a lot of places, travel a lot, and meet all kinds of people from all over the world. How cool is that? So, tell us a little bit about yourself. But before you do that, in the short time that we've been sitting here, she is wearing a feather bracelet. I have a feather bracelet that I'm wearing, and you said you used to call yourself what?
My parents used to call me Heather Feather.
And why did they call you Heather Feather?
Probably because of the alliteration. But because of that, I would look for feathers. We kind of lived in Orlando has grown a lot.
My God, yes.
In the last
40
years. Yeah.
It's really, because when I first moved here, I live in Lake Mary, and I was like, what have I done to myself? Because at that time there was no medical school, no law school, and I grew up in Philadelphia, and there were more law schools, colleges, universities than you can count on your fingers and toes, and then have need of someone else's fingers and toes.
Yeah.
But things have changed a lot.
Yeah, so I bring that up because we grew up in basically, I don't know how to say rural Orlando, because that's not a thing anymore.
No, it's not.
But I grew up where Avalon is now.
Wow.
And it used to just be all woods. Heck, my road, that's now a major road through there, is, it was dirt.
Yeah.
It was a dirt road. So I would, I'd find wild turkey feathers and hawk feathers, the occasional seagull feather, especially when we went to the beach. There's always seagulls. But so yeah, I collected feathers for a very long time. The coolest feather I got was a blue gold macaw feather from the parrots out at Disney.
How cool is that?
He got I think he got pulled for cursing, because I didn't, he was there one time we went and then wasn't the next time. But I know that he was picking up words that people were saying. But
oh my goodness.
He got really kerfluffled one time I was there and just fluffed up and dropped his feather, tail feather, and I was like, woo, mine.
And just so those that are listening, feathers come in different colors, obviously. They come from different birds. And if a feather ever finds you, and feathers are always finding me, you should Google the spiritual meaning of that feather, the color, because the color is significant and means something.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, so I mean, literally, feathers find me on the back of the phone. When I was up north a couple of weeks ago, I found a black feather on the beach, and I just picked it up. I was like, this is my feather.
Aw.
So yes, so that's very interesting that we have all these things in common. But I always find that if people take the time and talk to people, that you will always find you do have something in common with people, even if you come from different parts of the world, walks of life. If your experiences are different, you can always find something you have in common with it. Okay, I didn't mean to cut you off. So,
Oh, no, it's fine. I completely...
so we were talking about your background. So you grew up in Orlando, and are you, and don't take this the wrong way, because I know plenty of artists who didn't go to art school or get a degree in art, and they're artists. So I make no judgment relative to the background, but tell us a little bit about your background educationally.
Oh gosh. So I was always into art. When I used to get, like, little tiny toddler me used to get in trouble for taking my dad's tape and wadding it up into little balls and then sticking it to paper in images. Like, that's how I used to draw, apparently, was with tape. So I, like, because I've always had an interest in art, whenever there was a program in public school or whatever, I'd join it. And I did end up going to, like, they have you thinking really early in life now, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? And I always said I wanted to be an artist.
Wow.
And my mom was an artist. My grandmother was an artist. Like, all the women in my family are artists. So it just, you know, was natural.
Legacy.
So, but I did end up going to taking, like, I took graphic design and fine arts at Valencia. I never properly graduated from there, but I have like 192 credit hours, and I was there for 6 years at a 2-year school. So
you were sampling, you were getting it all in.
I was. Well, in a weird sort of way, I was kind of, how to say, I helped define the various graphic design programs that they have there, because it's not just graphic design anymore. As I was going to school, they kept splitting it into different catalogs, so that it was multimedia design, some other thing with video, and just like web development, that it became its own thing. And yeah, so when I started there, like, just using computers to make imagery was, you know, all grouped together in one thing, and then it just kept branching out and branching out.
So
and
you can say you had a hand in that.
I kind of, yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't know that much about your background,
Yeah.
but I know that you are a graphic artist. I know you illustrate children's books.
I do.
You do your own art. So tell us a little bit about that. And I know you bought some
Yeah,
show
yeah.
and tell, which, you know,
So-
we're going to describe for those of you. But also, I am going to take some photos afterwards. So that'll
Sure.
be on the Instagram. So
Yeah.
you have, she's pulling out the goodies,
Oh,
y'all.
I busted my book or box there. Yeah, here's the children's book. That's my most recent project, actually. Out
And
of
this
all of
is
these.
called When Goblins Puppy Sit.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And so you did, oh my gosh, that is gorgeous. I'm looking at the illustrations. That is wonderful. So if people are interested in acquiring this, where would they go?
Actually, you can get it anywhere books are sold. So
Wow.
my friend Lainey, she's the author of this. She came to me, and we kind of pre-shopped around. We knew we wanted to self-publish, and so we ended up going through Amazon's KDP, which is Kindle Direct Print, I think is what it stands for. I don't remember. But depending on like the options that you select in the backgrounds, you can actually pick up like a global distribution type thing, and so they can be it can be ordered anywhere.
So the full title of this book is When Goblins Puppy Sit. Words by Lanny Sheridan. Pictures by H. Gorlitz Scott.
Yep.
And on the back it says, When Goblins Puppy Sit. When Mal's mom, a witch, wants to go out for the day, she needs a sitter. But who can she trust to watch over the pup? Her magical friend Jay suggests leaving his goblins to watch him. What could go wrong? And I'm assuming a lot could and did go wrong, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's what we're going to say about that. So please go wherever you can find children's books. Go online and check out. This is one of the show and tells that Heather is sharing with me. So what else do we have over there?
Well,
Florida Gators, yay!
Not so much. Just orange is my favorite color. It's all good. Actually, Philadelphia Eagles, fly Eagles, and we're 7-0.
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
That's right. Thank you so much. It's all good. So
that was
people on the
funny.
podcast, we're sitting outside, and so you may hear random people come by, and because I'm wearing orange, he thought that I was a Florida Gator, which is a university here in Florida.
Yeah. That was really kind of
Expect
funny.
the unexpected is what I always say,
Yeah.
and it always happens. Expect the unexpected. Okay.
Yeah. What's actually, I was kind of perfect that we went right with the children's book, because while I was in college, they were very much pushing for us to get experience, and that I guess goes with your pottery class too, where the students kind of weren't motivated.
Yeah.
So they can't, like, in college they would come up with like a bunch of projects for us to do, but we could go and seek out our own
Okay.
and substitute them for, the assigned projects with the official projects, or, with the ones that we find, rather. And so I sought out a children's book gig while I was in college, too.
Oh my goodness. So this
And-
was not the first time you've done lots of children's books illustrations?
I two full children's books on my own. So the first one that I did in college was called Captain Halloween. How appropriate, we're doing this on Halloween.
Yeah. And is that one still available as well? Is it still in print?
It's only available at lulu.com.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure why. It got rebranded as a pamphlet too, so
Interesting.
yeah. But it was really cute, and again, dedicated to, the author's son. So,
Oh, cool.
but doing things like this, like illustrating fantasy and fiction, is something that I've always done. And while I was in college too, I moved to doing comics. So my big story here, which is Savoa, I have it in novel form right here, and then this is a little sequel book to it. But I did Savoa as a comic all through college and even further on, and that's why I started getting into the comic conventions and things. That's I thought I wanted to take my illustrative career and illustration career to comics, and it was all because I wanted to tell this story.
Okay, so Savoya. Is there a significance to the name, the title?
Well, kind of. It's I think Slavic for the number 9.
And 9 is significant to you for some reason?
It's significant to the story because a lot of it happens in multiples of 3. There's just references. One, there's 3 suns. There's 9 moons. There's 3 major factions. Like, it just, multiples of 9 are a big recurring thing.
So again, people, if you are interested, and these are I love the colors.
Thanks.
And I love the illustrations. The illustrations are also your work?
Yes.
I have no words, people. You just don't know. I mean, whenever I meet artists and I meet, people who have different artistic skill sets,
Yeah.
and you may be one of the first illustrators that I've met, and I mean, it's like fabulous, people. So I will be taking photos of this.
Yeah.
And so again, if you're interested, Savoa is Sivoa, and the author is H. Gorlitz, Gorlitz, Scott.
Yeah.
And where can they find?
Same. These can be found everywhere.
Okay, see?
Yeah. You may have to order them, but that's how everything's going anyways.
Wow.
Now, I will say that what we've got here is obviously not my comics. In 2012, I think it was, I had, mother of a 2-year-old at that point, went to go do the most recent chapter of the comic and realized that I'm a really slow comic artist.
Life happens. I mean, you still,
Exactly.
You're a wife, you're a mother. I mean, you still have other things that you need to do.
Yeah. So I decided to stop doing, telling the story in comic form, and decided to give try my hand at prose, just writing it.
Wow.
And that took another couple of years, but was still much faster. And I guess I did all right because it won an award. So.
I see that. It says Indie Original 2019 winner.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yep, it won Best Fantasy out of, I think, 200 something submissions.
My gosh.
So, yeah.
Wow.
And the sequel to this is actually almost done. It's in the editing phase right now. I don't have a specific due date for it because I don't want to rush the editing process. And since I'm self-publishing, I can get away with that.
Okay, so do you do the editing or someone else does the editing?
Combination, both.
Okay.
So I will, go through and edit and edit and edit and then cry and then drink and then edit some more and then get flustered and go, Patty, please help me. Here's money. And then I'll get my wonderful editor, Patty Giese, to edit, for me. And there's a lot of back and forth in that too, because I read a lot. So not only am I a writer, but I'm a reader.
Me too.
And because I read so much and so much from everywhere, I apparently adapt different
Styles?
dialects.
Wow.
So I very often will mesh British English with American English, and it doesn't quite work. So
Wow.
Patty's there to catch it for me.
That is so cool. Now, do you have a son or a daughter?
I do. I have a daughter.
And what does she think about your children's books? Does she know that you write children's books?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She would distract me a lot while I was working on it. It's so funny. Like, she's an artistic little bug too, and
she's continuing the
legacy.
The female in your family, that you come from a line of women who do art.
Yep.
Now, real quick, what does your mom do? What is your mom's medium?
My mom was kind of all over the place, but the portfolio that she has, that I inherited from her. Okay, I stole it from her because she stopped doing art a while ago, and I understand why. I don't know if I should really bring it up.
You don't have
but
to. It's
yeah, I
up
don't
to
think
you.
I'm gonna.
Okay.
But so everything in that portfolio is charcoal. We have a beautiful. I think she said it was oil. It may be oil or acrylic. I can't really tell because it's in a frame and
Wow.
behind glass and stuff. But it's a beautiful painting of a ship in a storm. It's a ship in a storm off the coast of Fort Myers.
Wow.
Which is relevant.
Yeah, because we just had Hurricane Ian.
Yeah.
And we know, for those of you that don't know, it took a hit, and it may be years before it gets rebuilt, or it will never be the way that it was.
Yeah, the pier. Gosh, to bring things together here. So she was born and raised in Fort Myers.
Wow.
And her uncle opened up a restaurant called Topo Mast, which was the restaurant right there at the pier of Fort Myers. And that he sold it a couple of years ago, which I guess was fortuitous for him.
Yeah.
But that building is gone.
Wow.
Like, we saw it this summer. Me and my daughter, I took her down there so I can be like, this is where Grandma used to set up her airbrush stand and paint shirts. And this is the pier, where we go and watch lightning storms. And, oh, look, a manatee, because they were swimming under the pier. And that was just this summer. And now it's all gone.
Yeah, people don't quite understand. For almost 30 years, I worked as an insurance adjuster, handling property claims, hurricane claims, things like that. People don't understand the force of water, how it can be so destructive, and how
Just wind, too.
a sheet of water 8, 9, 10 feet high or higher will destroy anything in its path inland, it could be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 miles.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like nothing is there.
Yeah. So that painting of hers, now I wonder if that was at all inspired by Hurricane Hugo.
Wow.
Which did something similar. So
one of the I don't know what adjective I want to use, because you know, no matter where you live in the United States or the world, there's some natural disaster
that person was mad.
Exactly. You may have to put up with, and in Florida it just happens to be hurricanes. In some parts of the world, Midwest, it's tornadoes. You know, we
just
don't
up
really,
north a little bit, it's fires.
Yeah, you know, we don't really have tsunamis, but anything is possible. So each day you have to be in the moment and live your best life.
Yes.
And that's what we try to do. Live our life, be in the moment, and not think about what could happen. Just be present in the moment and live your best life.
Yes.
Okay. So now
and I think that approach should be taken to art as well, because like you had mentioned earlier, a lot of people get hung up on making it perfect, and
Yes.
it's just like, nah.
No. And
Finish it.
And I believe sometimes, you know, you will have an idea or a concept about how you want a piece to be, and then it's like it takes a mind or life of its own.
Yeah.
And then I just go with the flow and say, well, it became what it wanted to be, not what I thought it was going to be. And you just got to move on and try it again.
Yeah.
And keep at it. That's part of the fun, is the keeping at it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the Savoia, would you say that's going to be like an anthology for you?
An anthology is a collection of short stories.
Right.
So,
And so this is more
really,
like a novel.
Yes. Yeah, that's a novel. The little tiny sequel book I have here is kind of more of an anthology.
Okay.
Because in between writing this book, the first book here, and the second one that's in editing, I got distracted by wanting to know what happened to some of the side characters. And I was just like, well, okay, I'll go ahead and flesh that out. Because as a reader, that drives me crazy. But as a writer, I can actually do something about it.
Wow.
So I did. And turned it into a fun, this is me being an online artist, I turned it into a fun, like, calendar project. So once a month, I did, like, chapter 1 here, I did for January.
Oh, that is so cool.
And then chapter 2 I did for February, and so on. So there's 12 chapters in here.
Oh my goodness.
So one for each character. And it's not completely necessary to know the main story, but there's a little bit of callback to that book and the second book.
So in other words, what she is saying, y'all, so you have to get Savoia Sunrise, which is the book, and then are we going to call this...
It's morning, Savoia morning.
Are we going to call this like a pamphlet or like a... I'm trying to think when we were in college.
I've been calling it book 0.5. Book 1.5.
We would have like, you remember when you were in high school and college, if you didn't want to read the whole book, you could kind of cheat. And what were those called?
Oh, Cliff Notes.
Thank you. Okay. So are we going to call Savoia Morning the Cliff Notes to Savoia Sunrise?
I'll call it a distraction.
Okay. That'll work. That is like so cool.
Because if you read this, you're like, you'll get the story that's in here, but you'll have almost no idea what's going on in there.
Okay. Wow. So layers, as you can see, layers.
Yeah. Now the format though, the once a month illustration and prose thing, I guess it inspired me to continue doing things that way on my Patreon. So with the second book, or I went and did the illustrations month by month for the first book after having completed that one. And then I'm, for the past, I don't even know how many years at this point, I've been releasing the second book in little snippets on my Patreon with illustrations. So
okay, so if people are interested in following you on Patreon,
oh yeah, there's a lot.
Okay, so what is your on Patreon? What's your name?
Just like everything else I do, it's all under Dragonmun Studios, and I'll get on that too. But if you go to dragonmun.com, spelled DRAGONMUN.com, that'll take you to my website, which is a kind of a portal to everything. So you can find the Patreon there, my Instagram, all that stuff. So,
okay, yeah. Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
Okay.
And these are the illustrations. that I did for both of those there. So.
Oh my God, these are... Wow. People, you cannot see these, but you can choose a few that you want me to, when I release the podcast, I do it on Instagram, on Facebook as well, and I'll send you a link. You can do the same. So you can choose which of these you want to accompany the podcast.
Sure. Yeah.
That is so cool.
I do have a website for these. I don't know if I have all of them on there, but it's worldofsavoa.com. Which you can also get to from dragonmun.com. It's literally
so
right there.
So people would be able to purchase those illustrations, which
Absolutely.
are marvelous. I love this first one.
Thank you.
That is so cool.
That one, I didn't intend for it to be a UV reactant, but it is. If you shine a UV light on it, her feet show up through the fire.
Wow. So maybe that's... For me, this is like Phoenix, like rising from the fire.
Yeah, I guess.
But I love the blues and the purples because I love blues and I love purples.
Yeah, as your bag
yes,
indicates.
Purple is my favorite color, y'all. These are so cool. Wow, we could do like just a podcast just talking about these, which maybe we can do that in the future. Okay.
Fair.
Cool beans. Okay.
Yeah.
And so now... for the upcoming exhibit, Fabrication exhibit about truth and lies, what kind of art did you create for that?
Well, I did illustrations for that too.
Okay.
So during the pandemic, there were, I don't know if you remember this, if you were online much, or I don't know. It feels like everybody was on Facebook.
I spent a lot of time in my backyard in my hammock, just thinking about how cool it was that I could be outdoors. It was warm for the most part. I would just gaze at the clouds and how blessed and lucky I was that I had a green space that I could go out and seek refuge. Because I know for some people, who live in apartments or in parts of the United States where they don't have access to green space.
Yeah.
It was like a mind trip because, you're more or less, there was a lot going on we didn't understand. So you were confined to your house and you only went out to get like the essentials like food.
Yeah.
So I was lucky that I had a green space that was like my escape from reality.
Well, hi, I'm kind of envious. Because I was living in a suburb and like the neighboring houses blocked all my view of the sky, and we just had like a nothing backyard.
Wow.
And so I took the dog for a walk a lot.
Okay.
It wasn't even my dog.
So at least you were getting outside.
But yeah.
Wow.
But a lot of the quarantine I spent on Facebook. When I wasn't doing art. It was really hard to get motivated to do things too. It felt like I was living in a gray world.
I called it a global timeout.
Yes, yeah.
And so for me, it was really a time for people because you had nothing but time to figure out, who am I? Where am I? How do I see myself moving forward? Because the world as we know it will not go back to what it was. And it was interesting because environmentally, in parts of the world, because people were not driving, so there was no smog, and there were, people could see vistas and views they hadn't seen in years. And I was like, we can learn from this. We can learn how we can be more aware, more socially conscious, environmentally aware, and you should take the time to figure out.
And that exactly is what I was trying to get to with this. On Facebook, I saw lots and lots and lots of reports of things being discovered, ruins and evidence of civilizations being discovered, and that was really cool to see. So my pieces are based off of 2 articles that I found. So this one is a Welsh culture. Forgive me, I can't pronounce Odinantans.
Okay.
I can't pronounce it if I tried. But theoretically, this could be the culture that the fairy tales that we've come to know like, the popular fairy tales. Not fairy tales, fairies. Like the concept of fairies and stuff could have come from this culture.
How cool
So,
is that?
yeah, there's, I have the, I don't have the write-up here, but the write-up will be at the Fabrications exhibit.
How cool is that?
So, yeah.
So, what I see, well, how would you describe
All right.
what you have depicted here?
Yeah, so the article itself, then this is because I'm kind of a character artist. Like when it comes to illustrations, I like figures, so I guess I'm a figurative artist too. So I read I have the article, and while it's kind of straightforward, newsy, it's a newsy article. I was like, well, what would they look like? What would the civilians of that culture look like, the citizens? And so I went and did research through Costuming magazine, or like, how in movies they have costume reference guides for the different time periods and stuff. So I went and looked up costumes for the time period that was mentioned. How cool is that? Tried to just come up with a civilian or citizens that matched that description or matched that what that was. So that's the Welsh one, and then this one is
I'll hold it for you.
oh, okay. And this one was a Greek village in Turkey.
Yeah, I was going to say that reminds me like Greco-Roman kind of era.
Yeah. So, and then that one was called Aphrodisias. So,
is that a play on Aphrodite?
Yes, it's a play on Aphrodite.
Okay.
And I kind of wonder if that's where the term aphrodisiac came from.
And it could.
But I'm not sure.
It probably did.
But so the article for this one was, for both of them, it's the discovery, like the discovery of these ruins, of these civilizations that's talked about. But I just wanted to draw what I thought the citizens might look like. And so that's what I did.
And the frames are beautiful. They're gold.
Thank you.
And did you, because I know some artists, I have a friend, he makes his own frames. Do you create your own frames?
These are antique frames I bought from a museum in St. Louis.
Wow, they're gorgeous.
Yeah.
So for those of you that can't see it, I am going to take photos maybe, and you'll be able to see what they're absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So these are the two works that are going to be in the exhibit?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
And,
so
I don't know if it was refreshing. These are actually my first real watercolor pieces since the pandemic. So it was really fun to get back to watercolor because all during the pandemic I went digital.
And just so you know, to my naked eye, I mean, they don't look like watercolors to me, but I mean, they're beautiful. I don't know. See, and that's the beauty of art and artists. I mean, you can get blown away by their artistry, and they say what the medium is, and to my naked eye, I'm like, okay. So basically, your art is more digitally based, would you say?
Yeah. All of the Savoa stuff is digital. The When Goblins Puppy Sit, it's also digital. But I've always, I like to tell people I medium hop like a fiend, because I kind of do. When I first started doing public art with, the Orlando art scene here, like, the art walks with Brad, and the gallery shows, my brain just quit.
No, you were just talking about when you were doing the art shows you have at 10, and how labor intensive that is, and different how you switch from being like digitally based and doing something now.
Yeah, and so when I started the whole thing, I was doing marker art, like it was literally Sharpies, and the problem with markers is kind of the same problem I have with acrylics, which is if you want a color, you need to have the color.
And if you don't have the color, then that's a problem.
Right.
But you can mix with watercolor and with acrylic, you can create sort of kind of.
My problem with acrylics was that the acrylics would dry while I was mixing them. So I would have maybe about 5 minutes of the color I need.
Wow.
And with watercolors, even if they do dry, I can reactivate them.
How cool is that?
Yeah. And
So see, I'm learning stuff too I didn't know about art, people, which is the beauty of what I do. You know, we should learn something new every day.
Yeah. Watercolor also is incredibly portable for a medium. This is a throwback. The reason that I have a company named Dragonman Studios, like the studios part, is kind of a lie. I don't have a studio. Everywhere I go is a studio.
Right. That's like, like life, you know, when we exist, it's like that's your laboratory. I mean, everything around you.
Yeah, exactly.
You learn from it. So you're like a walk-in studio.
Exactly. So I actually have a really cool plein air kit now that just fits in one bag and I can tote it with me. It's in the car. I can show it to you after this.
How cool is that? So for people who don't know what plein air is, can you share with them what that is?
It's funny because, you know, it's spelled in the French spelling.
Yes.
But it literally means plain air.
Yeah.
And
P-L-E-I-N, I believe, is the French spelling. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, well, when you set up outside and just start painting.
Exactly. Being out in nature.
Yep.
Being inspired by being outdoors, which is why you hear the background noises. You hear people because we are...
I do not have a studio.
and nor do I. And so we're doing outside. So you get to... You're hearing sights and sounds because we're in the moment. We're outdoors and life is happening around us.
Yeah.
The sights and sounds. So, you know, and I don't edit. So you may hear some stuff, you'd be like, OMG, but that to me is just what makes it more realistic.
Yeah.
Being in the moment with the sights and sounds. Yay. All right, so do you have anything else you would like to share with us? Just asking.
Well, I have my, so this is actually kind of cool because this is a combination of the two things that I do, the watercolor and digital.
You did not do a tarot.
I did a collaborative tarot. So my friend James, he's the Osset Gypsy. He is, I want to say, I don't know how many actual generations, but it's like 11th generation Italian Romani. So this is in his blood. But I did all of the minor arcana cards for this deck. There's the book if you want it. And then our friend Rebecca,
I
she
remember
did...
seeing this one on your website, the Ace of Cups.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the aces here. So if you didn't know, the history of playing cards are actually established in tarot. So now excuse me, the ace cards here, the Ace of Cups, the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Wands, and the Ace of Coins are just like, you know, your diamonds, hearts, jacks, or Joker. I can't even. It's been a while since I looked at an actual playing deck.
Yeah.
But that's like, playing cards came from these.
Exactly.
So that's what's cool. But with these, I did the bits and pieces in watercolor and then assembled them digitally.
So it's like the melding of watercolor and digital art.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
folks, this is so fascinating.
Yeah. This one was a particularly weird one because, and I gave all the originals to James, you know, for him there. But with the Ace of Cups here, I needed to be able to get the reflection bits and the water, how the water's pouring down here. Mm-hmm. I needed to get all that on the ace card, but I needed that cup for
all the cups.
For all the cup cards.
Exactly.
And so what I ended up doing was I cut another sheet of, actually it was 2 sheets of watercolor paper. And so the water that's pouring down off the top here, mm-hmm. It is literally a cut, like a shaped cut piece of paper that's sitting on top of the cup itself.
How cool
and then
is
I painted the water itself there, and then the background is another piece of paper that I had cut the cup out of and stuck on top of, and then so I could, get the reflections and blending there.
Wow. A process, to be sure.
Yeah.
But the result, well worth it. Good
you.
job. I mean, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, so what have you not done, Miss Heather? This is, oh my God, these are so...
That's a good question. What haven't I done?
I'm speechless.
Gosh,
I think maybe some people have a negative connotation when it comes to, some people say tarot.
Yeah.
And I don't, because I mean, it's just another tool that you can gain insight about yourself.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like astrology. Some people have negative connotations about astrology. I do not.
Yeah.
It's another tool.
Some people
learn.
have therapy, and others have tarot.
And astrology. I agree. So what led you to do the illustrations? Just that you knew your friend and he asked you to do it?
Yeah.
It's just that simple. It's just that simple, people.
Yep.
And so give us the name if people are interested in going down this path, the name of the deck and your friend, his name.
Okay. His name is James Jacob Pieri, and he is the Osset Gypsy. His name, he picked it. I know that gypsy is considered a derogatory term.
It can be to
but
some people.
He's like, well, it's me. I'm owning it. Whatever.
Exactly.
So he decided to own his own term there, and but it's spelled AUSET, Gypsy Tarot. It's published by Red Feather, which is a subsidiary of Simon & Schuster. So,
Wow.
And again, it's available everywhere as well.
And just so you know, people, the box is purple, my favorite color.
This box is beautiful.
Oh my God, it is gorgeous. And you spell his last name, let me just see, James Jacob, Pierri. And it was illustrated by Rebecca Statzenberg and Heather Scott.
Yep.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, I mean, we have been all over the board, have we not?
That's how I do. So yeah, it's funny because you're like, what haven't you done? I can't tell you. I don't know what I haven't done.
Wow. But you are doing what I like to call living out loud.
I can agree with that.
And what I mean by that, people, is there are those... Oh, and I should share that before we began the podcast, I learned another salient feature about Miss Heather. She's a Leo. I'm a Leo.
Yay!
That explains it.
Leos!
Yes! Because I think Leo people, okay, we know astrologically speaking, our sign is represented by the lion, but we also are the sun. We're a sun sign. And nothing can live without the sun, right? And we live out loud, and people, I think, are attracted to our energy because we just have like this energy which is like, I'm going to be me.
Do you want to see our card?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see. And I'm going to take a picture of it. So keep it out. Let's see what card represents.
Oh,
Leo in tarot is usually depicted by a lion, and it's the strength card.
correct.
Yay, see?
Yep, and here's the strength card Rebecca did for us. Isn't that pretty?
Oh my gosh. I'm going to take a picture of this. I'm going to take a picture of that.
Let me see if I
And
can
just
find
so
the
you
actual card
know,
for
the strength card is a major
Oh, here it is.
arcana card. Okay, we're going to take a picture of that. And so Leos, we do have some, what do I want to call them? I don't know what I want to call them, because do we really have, yeah, I guess we do have some, I don't want to say negative. We can be perceived as being over the top.
I like to call it the extrovert.
Okay, we are definitely extroverts. I think we are giving people, our heart. We're heart-centered. We deal from the heart.
Absolutely.
I think sometimes people perceive that we can be bossy.
Selfish is another one I see.
Yeah, which, that's so far from the truth.
Yeah.
I think we see things, we speak our truth, we try to live our truth, I think we can be too much for some people. Can we be too much for some people?
Yeah, for sure.
but we are really good people. We're
I think
we're
you described
heart-based.
artists too.
Yeah, because people don't. Why
Yeah.
people? If you would just take the time, people fear what they don't understand. I think, but they don't want to take the time to sit down and explore and get to know someone that's different than they are. Different, may that be spiritually, culturally, religiously, and really, the bottom line is all people want the same thing.
Uh-huh.
The same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
So,
Would you like to share anything else that we've not touched on? I mean, I feel like in our conversation before we even started the podcast, we covered a lot. And I'm just like blown away by all the gifts that you have.
aw. I don't know. So it's with our conversation beforehand, I just like to dive right in and talk. If you come to the exhibit on the 17th, I'll talk your ear off there too.
That's another thing. We Leos are never short for words or conversation.
Yeah.
So yes, by all means, please come to the exhibit. The opening is November the 17th. It's at City Arts
Yes.
in Orlando for those of you that are local. And for those that are not, we'll try and take some photos and maybe do some interviews with the artists and maybe meld that into another podcast episode at some point.
Yeah.
So thank
Sounds
you,
good.
Heather. This was
Hey,
so
no
much fun.
Yay! Thank you for meeting me at
No
Panera.
problem. I know. My meeting spot because life happens and Panera's is like a good spot to hang out, and we've had a cross section of things go on.
Yeah.
So anything else you would like to say in closing?
Go Gators.
And you did, and you're not a gator, are you?
No, not at all.
And nor am I. So that's like a really funny inside joke,
You can't
people.
talk to me about sports ball. I don't know what you're saying.
All right. So on that note, I want to thank you again. It was a pleasure meeting you. I mean, we've covered so much. All these like show and tells. I'm going to take some photos of some. And again, please come and see the exhibit, Fabrications, an exhibit about truth or lies. Thank you again.
Hey, thank you.